a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Let's chat about Freemasonry. Any thoughts you guys have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral? Let me know. We're going to give it a bit of time. We're going to wait to see who finds us. And as always, any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, let me know. I've actually got some stuff happening tonight. I'm going to be heading to the lodge for the temple for Scottish Rite, so that's going to be really fun. So yeah. But let's give it some time first. Let's see who joins. Any thoughts on Freemasonry, let me know. There's a couple of things I want to talk about today, but the first 60 minutes, as always, it's just hanging out and waiting to see who joins. No particular topics for the first 60, just general questions and answers, general Q&A. So let's wait and see who finds us. Hello, Click. Welcome back. I feel like it's been a minute since I've seen you. How's it going? Thank you for being here. As always, I hope you're doing well. We're going to give it some time, wait to see who joins. I got some different names from a wheelchair, but right now I did a poll and the winning vote is for, at the moment, Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn is the current name of my wheelchair. What is Matthew 23, 1 Corinthians 6:9? I'm not sure what that is, but it's still great to have you here. Thank you for joining us, as always. And to everybody else who might be joining us, thank you for being here. Let me know how you guys are doing. Any thoughts on Freemasonry? Let me know. $22:42. Are you saying it's 10:42 p.m. for you? Jace, I'm just going to call you Jace. How's it going? Thank you for being here. Let me know how you're doing. Hit that like button and the subscribe button. Hello, everyone. I go by Juice Box. My pronouns are, I've never heard the pronoun was before, but all right. Welcome, Juice Box. Your pronouns can be whatever they want. I hope you'll hit the like and subscribe button. Thank you, ND Gaming. I appreciate that. I hope you're doing well. And let me know how your day is going. I'm just making a quick post here. But I promise I see you guys. I'll get to you in just 1 second. Thank you, Spirit. And how's it going for you? I hope you're doing well. Um, I can't count anyone as a loss because Jesus said, "Truly, I tell you, whatever you did for me on the least." I mean, so bet there's a lot of truth in that. I'm not one to be able to speak much on kind of theology or biblical text or Jesus because I'm not necessarily Christian or not a Christian, but I do always like that teaching. I think it's a really cool teaching. So, yeah, please hit like, please hit subscribe. I'd appreciate it. Get me back over 3,830 subs. It would be very kind. Hello, LC Fairfair. Thank you for being here. Please let me know how your day is going. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear it. And I hope you guys are having an excellent, excellent day. Hello, Jason Shank. Let me know if you get your gifts. You should be getting them. Like I said, I mailed them, so I don't think it should take that long to get to you, but let me know. And thank you for the sparkles. I am in a wheelchair. You don't have to be sorry. I was born this way, and I like the way I am. Honestly, if somebody were to come and tell me that, you know, I could have legs or be born with legs, I would say no. No, no, I was born this way. Awesome, Jason. Look at this bum, unreal. Well, maybe I am a bum, but I'm still going to ask you to hit that like and subscribe button. I would be grateful for it. Thank you so much for being here. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral, please let me know. And I hope that you are doing very well. Thank you. I don't know who Uncle Jerry is, but I'm sure he's a very handsome fellow. Change, please like and subscribe. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral? I'd love to hear it. Well, stonemasons are workers of brick, without a doubt. Freemasons are speculative masons. We're a social club or a social group, right? So it's not a profession, it's not employment. Having said that, it's something I am grateful to be a part of. And I'm also grateful to our stonemason brethren for their willingness to allow for the creation and development of a social club connected to their organization, connected to their profession. Sarah Sensia, things are going well. How are things with you? I hope they're going well also, and thank you for being here. Freemasonry is a civic institution or civic group or civic club that has existed for over 300 years. It's crazy to think it's been that long. 350 years almost. Crazy to think. It's the oldest, to my knowledge, is the oldest social club or fraternal organization in the world. I don't like to say just fraternal because there is Order of Women Freemasons and lots of incredible groups as well. Well, Freemasonry isn't related to, I mean, Freemasonry, literally, it's related to stone Masonic guilds of the Middle Ages. Hiram Abiff is a character within Freemasonry, apocryphal almost certainly. Um, but think about it primarily as a social club or a social group. Nice. I hope that work was good for you. I hope you had a good day, and thank you for being here. It is very much obliged. Um, oh, 3 hours. That's one thing I don't ever say. Some people will say what it means. I don't. I think it's more fun if you join Freemasonry and find out that way. Um, Social club, not a cult. Freemasonry is not a cult. I've talked about why it's not a cult on previous streams, um, but it is not a cult. It does not isolate anybody, which is one of the hallmarks of cults. It doesn't venerate individuals. It's democratic. All of these are kind of against what cults are and what they stand for. Um, but Pistol Pete, it's good to have you here. If anybody gets the chance, I hope that you will also consider hitting the like button, subscribe button, and sharing this stream with others. It would be incredibly kind of you. I mean, it is that, but I wouldn't say just. I mean, that's a pretty big deal, finding friends and doing community service. That's actually a huge deal. Green beans change, green beans. That's a joke in Freemasonry, but without a doubt, it's green beans. Um, I am a Freemason. I've been a Freemason for just about 20 years, which is crazy to think it's been that long. We don't eat goat. I mean, I'm sure some Masons do. I think goat is like a delicacy in some places, but it's not regularly on the menu, shall we say? At least not in my experience. Do they eat cow and pork? Sure. I mean, Freemasonry, it's not a religion, so there's no like dietary restrictions on it. What I always suggest though is if you're the junior warden, always think about, okay, do we have Muslim brothers, Jewish brothers? Do we have vegetarians, vegans? How can I create a menu that is respectful of different dietary restrictions or allergies, some of which can actually be quite deadly? Um, Allergic to peanuts, whatever it is. You want to be thinking about all of that stuff. It's really important. Maybe what I'll do is tonight or tomorrow, I'll actually live stream from my computer and I can play Geometry Dash on my um, computer. I mean, Mr. Keeps is right. Look, Freemasonry is one civic club or civic group, but there are a lot of them out there. That includes, those associated with the Catholic Church, like Knights of Columbus. The difference is Freemasonry, it's not a religious institution. To join a lot of these Catholic groups or clubs, you would need to be Catholic first, like, for example, the Knights of Columbus. But, I mean, if you're interested in converting to Catholicism, or if you're already Catholic, I mean, Knights of Columbus, you can do Elks or Moose as well, or, you can join a lot of different groups. Freemasonry is one of many. I think that society is made better when we have more civic engagement. So, sure, look at joining the Catholic group if they will have you, if you are Catholic or converting or whatever it might be. I know you can go to some churches, like Catholic churches, even if you're not Catholic. You won't be able to take communion, to my understanding, but you can still attend the church and learn more about the faith. Um, well, I don't think that's going to be happening, but I do know a few Knights of Columbus who are also Masons, for the record. Um, Cobra, you do not need to have religion to join Freemasonry. You need to believe in a supreme being. Like, I would not describe myself as religious, but I do believe in a supreme being. The term supreme being is defined, generally speaking, very broadly, which means a lot of people who maybe even considered atheistic in some sense are not for Freemasonry. Um, I don't know if you mean that in a good way or a bad way, Trash, but okay. I'm not agnostic. I do believe in a supreme being. My supreme being is the rational nature of the universe as expressed through geometry. I don't believe in supernaturalism or the supernatural. So it could be like a deistic in some sense, as opposed to theistic. Um, in the Knights of Columbus? I thought you had to be Catholic to join the Knights of Columbus. I could be mistaken. Do you need to be Catholic to join? So according to Google AI, which I know is not the best, you must be a practical or practicing Catholic, 18 years of age or older, to join the Knights of Columbus. Um, Key membership requirements must be baptized. Oh, yeah. I mean, I just don't think you can take the communion. I don't think you're supposed to do that if you're not Catholic. But yeah, I've sat in Catholic churches on a few different occasions. I mean, what does it mean to believe in the term? Not really. I mean, sure. I think generally speaking, if you are someone who believes in like a literal heaven, and there is literally an afterlife, and heaven can be described as something that exists above us, then I think as above, so below makes a lot of sense, which is we should do our best and make our best efforts to take the understandings from the world above or heaven above and bring them to earth. Try to live now as though, try to live today or transport ourselves or imagine ourselves today as what we will be in the hereafter, as what we will be when we leave the below and go to the above. But that's assuming you're of that faith or of a faith that believes in a heaven. It's a little bit more complicated for me, but generally speaking, yeah, try to act in such a manner that you remember there is an eternity, and that should probably give you pause to think about things. Hey, I gave you 1 star. I don't drive on Uber, so you didn't give me a star on Uber, but still, nonetheless, thank you so much. I mean, superstition is part of it, yeah. Well, I mean, if the supernatural is explained by science, then by definition it stops being the supernatural, right? Like historically, human beings believed, for example, storms and thunder or lightning were supernatural. And eventually science was able to explain them and put them into the natural world. So, I mean, I believe there are things that exist presently that probably we can't explain, but I believe that science will find a time, if we don't blow ourselves up first, knock on wood, when we're able to explain most, if not everything, of the universe. For example, find a way to combine gravity with quantum mechanics, something like that, or general relativity with quantum mechanics. Create a theory of everything. Now, what's going to keep us from blowing ourselves up between now and that moment? That might be better left in the realm of religion or religious beliefs than maybe, you know, there's how to live and there's why to live. Science is very good at the how to live. Why? I think it don't necessarily know if science has all the answers to that one yet. Um, Misuse of arcane knowledge is sorcery. Well, Freemasonry is not witches and goblins and sorcerers. I love music, Sydney. One of my favorite quotes of all time is, so Ben Franklin, a Freemason, said, "Beer is proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy." I don't drink, so I changed that quote to, music is proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy. Why people keep relating? Well, so King Solomon is a really important part of Freemasonry. He's a really important figure within Freemasonry. Um, right? Like, there's no doubt Solomon is an important figure within Freemasonry. So is Hiram Abiff, although they're both also apocryphal, not literal, right? I don't think, my suspicion is neither one of them actually existed. Or were real, but they're historical or they're apocryphal or even legendary figures. We're not wizards, dark wizards or otherwise. I'm grateful to the Lord. I mean, it may be that your belief in the Lord is what cured you of the panic attacks, not the Lord itself, right? That's what you need to keep in mind. We don't necessarily know what it was that did the curing. Is it the belief or is it what you believe in? Um, well, so Freemasonry existed or was formed in, you can pick your dates, but we'll say 1717. Stonemasonry would have existed at the time of Hiram and at the time of King Solomon. It would have existed for thousands of years, maybe even millions before those two figures, if you look at our stone tool making. So, I mean, it's one of those things where you need to understand the difference between stonemasonry and Freemasonry. Stonemasonry has existed throughout history and prehistory. Freemasonry is relatively new. I say relatively, it's the oldest civic institution, but some would say might is right, but I always say right is might. I mean, if you're completely reliant on force or might in order to create right or to create laws or to create what you want, you're going to find it very difficult to succeed. You need both. You know, trying to do what's right without any force or any might behind it is probably not going to be successful. You need to force people sometimes. You need force behind it. But if all you rely upon is force and coercion or whatever it might be, that's not going to be successful either. You need both. Um, you need to be doing what's right because it's right, and you need to be doing what's right with the ability to back it up with force if necessary. Paul Revere was a Mason. John Paul Jones was a Mason, I believe. Ben Franklin was a Mason. I don't know who Ben Gates is. George Washington, famously, was a Freemason. Well, thank you for hitting the like button. Thank you for the jokes. You could give a super chat if you so chose as well. That's what I talked about before, right? You can have expectations, and those expectations can be morally good or ethically good. But if you have no enforcement mechanism to back up those expectations, it means nothing. Um, Prince, the singer, was a Freemason. I hope that's true because I love Prince. Purple Rain is one of my favorite songs. Um, and a pretty decent movie, too. I don't believe he was, but I could be mistaken. I mean, Brad Paisley's a Freemason. There's a few famous Freemasons out there. Shaquille O'Neal, but I don't think Prince was. Nat King Cole, make that look a little bit better. Lionel Richie is, I believe. Yes, I heard that as well. So I believe he is a Prince Hall Mason. Oh, sure. Cobra Tate. I've never regretted joining Freemasonry. There's been times when I've regretted giving so much of myself to Freemasonry, without a question. When you start to experience that burnout, it gets very hard to turn it around. So there are absolutely a million occasions when I've regretted giving myself so much to it, but it's one of those things where sometimes you just have to keep fighting through it. If it's something you care about and if you remember why you did it. So based on available records, Prince was not a Freemason. He was a devout Jehovah's Witness from around 2001 till his passing in 2016. Looks like he was not a Freemason. I never heard that he was, so Purple Rain is a great song. Um, what do you mean by giving yourself so well, I mean it's like anything, right? If you're really tired and you're exhausted and you want to stay home on your couch and watch TV, but you choose to go to the lodge anyways, and then there's let's say no you don't get a quorum, because other people chose not to show up. Then you start to feel like, why are you dedicating yourself to so much to something when other people are not? I mean, like, I think almost everybody who dedicates himself to something probably goes through this, but it's really hard if you're part of a group. It's basically like being on a team where you're the one of the hardest working people on the team. That's where the challenge comes in, right? Because at a certain point, you start to think, why do I care about this team? Um, but, whether the sacrifices you made are worth it or not, I guess we'll find out afterwards. You can't always know if the sacrifices are worth it or not at the time of doing it. There you go. So people experiencing the king in the Knights of KFC Knights of Columbus as well. Um, I don't wear slippers. I have no legs, or no feet. Um, why not? I mean, uh, maybe, but I think it's hard to always say that because sometimes you can be doing the best you can and you're not going to know the outcome. And that just kind of is what it is, right? But maybe there's a value in the fight, even if it's a losing fight. I take a bath every 3 weeks, not once a week. And no, I don't use the bathtub. Honestly, I'm right now reading Lee Child, In Too Deep, which is one of his Jack Reacher books. So, would I take $1 billion cash if it meant I could only eat peanut butter and jelly for the rest of my life? Probably, though it would get old really quickly. I have not, but you need to keep in mind why not. When Manly P. Hall wrote that book, um, he was not at that point a Freemason. I think it was about 30 years from the time he wrote that book to the time he became a Freemason in California. I've read parts of it, but it's been so long. But a lot of people, I think, overemphasize Manly P. Hall's importance within Freemasonry because he wrote those books, but he didn't join until much later than people think. So, Cobra Tate, there are lodges in China. There's lodges in Hong Kong and Macau. There's no lodges in mainland China for political reasons, the government there. But even then, there are Masons in China. And maybe it'll come back. Who knows? I mean, it's one of those things where there are places where there might not be official Freemasonry, but that doesn't mean there's not Freemasonry underground. I believe he was 22 when he wrote it. I think he was young. I mean, he didn't join Freemasonry until about 30 years later, give or take. I don't use a bath brush. Do you know how many members Freemasons in the world? No idea. I mean, and Freemasons, it's decentralized. There is no single database, nor should there be. I mean, I would say probably, this is a very rough estimate, I would say around 2 to 4 million Masons worldwide. And that also depends on how many Masons you count. Some, for example, wouldn't count the Grand Orient as Masons in France. So the numbers vary. Some wouldn't count the Order of Women Freemasons. I would. Some wouldn't count. Like there's so many different lodges out there. But I think, let's say 3 million as a rough estimate. Freemasonry isn't segregated. There are men of all different races, religions, backgrounds, ethnicities in my lodge. With men and women, there is co-masonry, primarily out of France, but there's also Eastern Star, which is for men and women, both. Um, yes, I got a strange head and face. Weaver, please hit like and subscribe. Keith, I always enjoy the day. Actually, that's not true. Sometimes I hate the day, but I try to enjoy it when I can. I mean, even Prince Hall, they have white members and black members. I mean, there's actually a really cool story about Prince Hall I was going to bring up after the first 60 minutes. So, historically, there was Prince Hall Masonry because many black men were being denied admission into the Masonic lodges due to the racism of the time. It's unfortunate, but the case, and it sucks that when it comes to Freemasonry, Freemasons are not immune, as much as I wish we were. We are not immune from, the prejudices of the time. Freemasons is, I'd like to think we should be better than the times, but we're not always. So Prince Hall was started in 17, I always forget the date, 78, I believe, for black men who want to join a fraternal order of Freemasonry, but were being denied admission. It spread around the world. It's in Canada. But in 2026, they have white Prince Hall members and black Prince Hall members, and I'm sure every other ethnicity is allowed in as well. I would count Prince Hall. I mean, sure, Mr. Keeps, you're welcome to. Keep in mind, I have a lot of clothes, so maybe they would be better going to a charity for people who don't have any clothes. But if you want to send them to me, I certainly would not complain. It's kind of up to you where you want to send them to. What is a deal breaker in Freemasonry? Um, okay, Jib, I'm sure it's an awesome lodge. You should check it out. But my suspicion is they may be all black for historical reasons, like it's a black fraternity, so black men are applying to it more. But I would wonder if maybe they may accept white men as well. I don't know. Yeah, why not? See, Prince Hall and Albert Pike. It's a fascinating relationship because Albert Pike was famous for, yeah. I mean, it was more just they were designed specifically to combat prejudice. So obviously, men who were experiencing prejudice were more likely to go there. Albert Pike was famously racist. He was a Confederate soldier, if I recall it correctly. But yet, later on in his life, he actually became relatively not just accepting, but in some ways a promoter of Prince Hall Masonry. So maybe Freemasonry had managed to, the ethics of Freemasonry and of tolerance were successful in encouraging him to reconsider his views. Well, you would never collect donations as a lodge. You would collect dues. I mean, the official answer is no, David Thompson, but the unofficial answer is yes. What I mean by that is there's nothing stopping you, except maybe trademark infringement, from putting a sign on your front door that says David Thompson's Masonic Lodge, or sending out an email saying, I'm David Thompson, I'm a Freemason, and asking people to, pay dues to you and they'll become a member of your Masonic Lodge. However, you need to understand you would not be officially recognized. What that means is I could never visit your lodge, nor would you be able to visit my lodge, nor would anybody who joined your lodge be able to visit, and vice versa. Um, right? It's one of those things where um, you would not be recognized by any Grand Lodges. And in theory, if you're using the square and compass symbol, in most locations, you could be considered, it could be trademark infringement. You could be sued for that, theoretically. Um, I mean, Albert Pike was a racist, and that's wrong by definition, right? So, but the fact that he changed his views, at least reconsidered his views on Prince Hall Masonry, is interesting. I don't think Freemasonry and Rasta are considered the same thing. I've never heard anybody consider Freemasonry and Rasta the same thing. I think Rastafarianism is a religious belief. So you could be a Rastafarian and a Freemason, I believe. I don't see why not. Well, I mean, he famously said he did not want black men to be part of Freemasonry or to sit and lodge with him, which is a pretty racist view. Now, it could be possible that the reason he was such a fan of Prince Hall is because it was this attitude of, like, we'll separate the races and we'll let them have their Prince Hall Masonry and I'll have my, white people Freemasonry. And that's fine. If that's the case, it's a little bit concerning. But if it was more a matter of he supported Prince Hall because he recognized the racism of the time and wanted black men to have a safe place to go to practice Freemasonry, then that's a reconsideration. Um, Probably, Mr. Keeps. I mean, the issue is, how do you necessarily know what your ability is, and how do you know, right? Like, I think one of the things that we find is it's probably very hard to over or under um, judge our cable toe. Very often people will be lazy and selfish, but then they will say, well, it's just my cable toe doesn't allow me. And the response is like, maybe the cable toe doesn't allow you. Maybe you're just using that as an excuse and you're actually very lazy. But by the same token, there are some times when it's the opposite. People refuse to see their limits, do more than they're capable of, and then experience burnout and all the health risks and health issues that come from that. So, I mean, whatever kind of games I suppose they want to play, I would say Geometry Dash. Um, well, that's true. Everybody, by definition, is free to like who they want to like and free to dislike whom they want to dislike. However, if you're liking or disliking people based on their skin color, then by definition they are racist, and that's not cool, right? And so I'm free to say I don't like that about him. Honestly, Albert Pike's been a pain in my ass because people completely misunderstand him and his reference and his involvement with Freemasonry and what he meant to Freemasonry. There are some things he said that I really liked. There are some things he said I didn't like. But his influence is greatly overappreciated. Um, Sometimes at lodge, like, brethren may organize some type of special event, or they may organize a murder mystery night. They may play cards. They may have a board game night. I've seen that before, lodges having board game nights, which is really interesting. No, they're not. That's the old um, Albert Pike quote, which is a pain. Some people can be blinded by all sorts of different lights, right? Knowledge without the ability to handle that knowledge is dangerous. That's kind of an Albert Pike idea. Um, right? That's kind of a very Albert Pike idea, which is too much knowledge without proper discernment can be blinding. Which is why, even though he was, in my opinion, he was a Luciferian, he was also a Christian. I think his attitude was Lucifer is not Satan, Lucifer is a light bringer, but the light he brings, the knowledge he brings, can be so blinding and so great that if you don't have a backing in Christianity or in Jesus, you'll be blinded by it and take it too far, right? Which is why, I mean, an example might be wisdom, knowledge and science, and so knowledge in general, light, if you will, gives us the ability to create weapons, but it's something else that gives us the discernment to be able to know how to use those weapons, at least use those weapons properly or safely or without destroying the whole world. It's wrong. It's not wrong to criticize Freemasonry. It's never wrong to criticize Freemasonry. Freemasonry could use some criticism because it's messing up a lot in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different areas. And if we don't start to criticize it, and sometimes more forcefully, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. You can say it's wrong to criticize Freemasonry as a concept, as an idea. It is, and I believe that because I think Freemasonry as a concept or idea is very good. But the way it's being implemented, the way it's being worked, the way it's being organized, that is wrong. And that is dangerous if we don't start to call it out. That's a really good way to view it. Why not? I think that's a really valuable. Never heard that before, but I like that. No knowledge, darkness, you'll be blind. Too much knowledge, you'll be blind as well. You need to have knowledge with discernment, knowledge with wisdom of some sort. And I mean, I'm not religious, so I'm not going to say I would look for religion to give me that backing, but I would look towards and would look at nature for my backing. Um, I mean, I can deny it because I don't know what that means, Pastor. First of all, I don't know what many means, how many Masons practice the occult. I also don't know what it means to practice the occult. I mean, Freemasonry is not occult in the sense of witchcraft or anything nefarious, which is how that's termed. If you mean by occult just hidden, then I mean, sure, there's hidden knowledge that Freemasons maintain the privacy of for the purposes of our rituals, but it's not like knowledge that will make you rich, famous, successful, powerful. It's knowledge that allows you to bond with your fellow brothers through the shared knowledge and shared experiences. I'm not sure if nature had a creator. That's my kind of question, right? I don't know. It could have, and I could be completely wrong. My suspicion is nature, this universe, is eternal. Um, well, 14 words, first of all, I still hate that name for obvious reasons. I don't leg press anything. I have no legs, as you well know. You're gonna make fun of me for having no legs. You could at least do a super chat. I mean, I would agree with that. Freemasonry is not practiced as an institution in the occult. Individually, though, even that, I don't really know. Like, I've never met any individuals who would practice, I guess, the occult. I have met a couple Wiccan Freemasons. I guess, depending on how you define it, um, Wiccan could be the occult, but it's rare. Well, then you can share this stream on your social medias. Tell people to check this out, even if they don't like Freemasonry. Tell them to come on and tell me why they don't. I'll tell them why they're wrong. So I'm not so sure that all science points to the universe as having a beginning. All science points to our pocket of the universe having a beginning. I'm a believer in I can't think of what it's called now. Um, like I guess the multiverse. Like I think it's I used to know the name of it. You have a giant framework in which at any given point multiple universes are being created and destroyed. And we're lucky enough that we are one of in the universe, which we're not even lucky, just by design, we are in a universe that can sustain us and sustain our life. But there are probably universes where there's electrons the size of volleyballs and universes which never really got started because gravity was too strong, and other universes which just expanded to infinity and like nothing could ever develop in them because gravity was so weak that the atoms couldn't bond, and everything in between. Um, that is true. Science is evolving constantly. And I think that's a good thing because it gives us something to focus on and look for. Um, I mean, eternal inflation, I think, is the term. I don't know if it's entirely speculative. I think there's some pretty decent evidence of it. I think Sean Carroll has posted some pretty good stuff about it, if I recall correctly. Chilies, I don't know if that's a good thing or not that I'm a Roman legionary. Are they handsome people? Are they tough and strong people? In which case, yes, I am a Roman legionary. And if it's entirely speculative, I guess that makes sense because I'm a speculative Freemason. So I suppose I should be speculative by definition. All right. We're going to keep waiting. We're 44 minutes in. Once we get through the first 60 minutes, I have specific topics. I was going to talk about developments and learning we've had in stone tools and San Antonio Lodge number 150. It's a modern philosophical argument for, well, if it's philosophical, then by definition it's speculative as well. Popularized by William Lane Craig, saying that because everything that begins to exist has a cause, and the universe began to exist, the universe has a cause. It posits this cause is a personal, uncaused creator. Whatever begins to exist has a cause. The universe began to exist, therefore the universe has a cause. Um, I mean, the problem with that is fairly obvious, right? Which is that is making an assumption based on our experiences within our universe, but outside of our universe, we don't know that to be the case, right? We're kind of like, that's like a blind person being asked to define the color red, right? We can only go by our experiences. Our experiences within our universe tell us that every cause has every effect has a cause. What about outside the universe? I would say that's the major problem. When we're talking about what exists outside of our universe, we don't know if it requires a cause. We can only speak to what exists within our universe. Now, if you believe our universe is everything, that creates a whole other problem. Everything in time or everything in space, or everything in both. Um, I do drink coffee on every stream. I got my coffee right here. Sometimes I drink water as well. I'm trying to be more healthy because of my kidney operation, potentially. We still don't know if it's going to happen or not. I don't want to. I'm taking my tests on May 1st. I may do some streams from there just to talk about that because I think it will be interesting. I don't know exactly what I'll be streaming about. It's interesting, the test you have to take. It's really cool. Um, but yeah, I do drink coffee on many streams. Please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I hope you guys are doing well. Sorry, Sin, I don't drink, so I guess I won't live as long as F. Um, but I will start drinking coffee, or keep drinking coffee. Many people in my country think that Freemasons worshiping, I'm not sure what they're worshiping, but Freemasons don't worship. Freemasons are not a religion, so there's no worship within Freemasonry. Um, did we? I didn't know that was the case, Mr. Keeps. I thought coffee was invented in South America. Or not invented, but I thought coffee beans came from South America and the Middle East. Actually, I thought coffee came from the Muslim region first, or I guess Arab region first. Or do you mean Catholics can drink coffee because the Pope baptized it? I mean, I have no issue, I have no plans. I want to make this clear before I say this next part. I have no plans on converting to Catholicism or any faith. Having said that, if I were interested in converting to Catholicism and I found out I couldn't drink coffee, then I don't think I would. Um, or from Arab Muslims and the Pope decreed it was okay. Okay, so there you go. Um, I thought coffee originated from um, I thought coffee originated from like the Middle East, like the Arab countries. I could be wrong. I don't know where it originated from. All I know is I like it. Um, and it's very good. No, Freemasonry does not have a relationship with the satanic. It does not a religion, does not a relationship with Satan or Satanism or anything like that, despite what people may believe. I prefer to study only Ethiopian texts preserved for antiquity. We're going to keep hanging out, wait to see who joins. Another 10 minutes, I'll start on the main topics I wanted to mention. Pastor, many people are wrong. Well, that's good. I appreciate that, Mr. Keeps. So long as they never refuse to allow coffee, then who knows, one day, maybe. Um, but I think every faith allows for coffee, so maybe I'll convert to Judaism or the Muslim faith or Islam as well. That's cool. I mean, if you want to learn more about it, if you want to learn more about them, you should go talk to them. But keep in mind with your 14 words nonsense, Freemasonry welcomes men of all different faiths, religions, and backgrounds. So keep that in mind. You're not going to be happy because they welcome men of all different ethnicities, races, backgrounds. Um, I mean, it's probably open for their meetings, but you can write them a letter or send an email. Um, I mean, what I try to do is take every person as they are, not, you know, within the Catholic Church, for example, and pastors in the Catholic Church, obviously there were real problems there historically. But that doesn't mean every pastor of the Catholic Church was bad or that every church itself was bad, um, by any means, or that the faith itself is bad. You need to always remember that as well. Um, we are going to give this another, let's say, 10 minutes because we're at 51 minutes in. The first 60 minutes, as always, I don't have any specific topics. I just hang out, answer questions. Oops. Gosh darn it. Hate it when that happens. Hit the wrong button and lost all my stuff I was looking at. Well, I mean, you shouldn't do that, Keely. Like, I wouldn't be comfortable with, like, if somebody came to join Freemasonry and we said, do you believe in a supreme being? And they just said, yeah, I flipped a coin in the morning. If it landed on heads, I would say Jesus. If it landed on tails, I would say Allah. And it landed on tails, so I'm Muslim now. And that's what I believe in. I probably wouldn't accept that as an answer or let them join because I wouldn't feel that it was a legitimate expression of their heart and of their conscience. However, we as Freemasons are not going to judge. So long as they're coming to it with their heart in the right place and a genuine belief that speaks to their conscience, then it is kind of a smoke and if you got 'em situation, right? Mr. Keeps brought this up like a couple of years ago, I think it was now, but he said, like, what if a Mason comes, or what if an applicant comes and says, my supreme being is the yellow pages and my volume of sacred law is the phone book? I would probably start with an assumption that they were trolling us, but if I were to come to believe that their statement was a genuine expression of what's in their heart, and they genuinely did, for whatever reason, view this as a sacred text, and to take an obligation on it would speak to their conscience, then I guess I would say, yeah, I would let them do so. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. It's how you, I suppose, bounce back that matters. Well, it's possible that a lot of the stories in the Bible are not literally true, but are apocryphal or legendary. But many will take them as literal truth as well. We don't know, is the point, right? And we shouldn't pretend like we do necessarily. We should just try to use our best judgments on these things. But if somebody comes to the lodge and they believe that it's literally the case that Jesus turned water into wine, they believe in a supreme being, they're welcome to join. If somebody believes that it was a natural event, like yeast turning into wine, but they also maybe are of a different faith or of a different type of Christianity, then they're welcome to join as well. Keely Pack? You look like you're going to steal an LGBT flag, a LGBT flag. I would not steal a flag from anywhere, but I mean, I support LGBTQ, whatever it might be. They're welcome in my Masonic lodge, or my Masonic building. Please, by the way, Nathaniel Johnson, hit like and subscribe. I've sat in lodge with gay Freemasons and straight Freemasons, and it is perfectly allowable. Freemasonry judges the internal qualifications of a man. Are you good and honorable? Not the external. Um, and not, things like one's religion or one's ethnicity or one's sexual orientation. See, I feel like you're being sarcastic, but I'm not a big fan of that because I have no issue with the idea of missing murdered Indigenous women, Two Spirit, LGBTQIA plus. Yes, it's a mouthful. Yes, it's a lot. I don't think anybody expects you to say it all the time, but to my knowledge, if you look at the statistics, the number of people who are being murdered in this country, they're far more likely to be women. They're far more likely to be Indigenous. They're far more likely to be trans than me. So I appreciate them trying to point that out. Well, there you go, Dad. By the way, Dad, I love you. Thank you for being here. The next mistake you make is your first. Well, then you're doing a lot better than me, who's made many mistakes and can keep on making mistakes. But you can make a mistake and keep fighting. That's what matters. Um, well, if certain lodges are not tolerating gay membership, then they're not a true Masonic lodge and they should be ashamed of themselves. Um, it can be hard to detect tone. That is absolutely the case. I mean, that's one of the challenges of texting, right? I've talked about that before on this stream. Mistakes are lessons if you're willing to learn them. Do you agree with the New World Order? I don't know what it means. I don't think there is or ever will be a New World Order. I think it's not possible to have a single governing body for the world or a single order for the world, new or otherwise. The world is comprised of um, far too many different, far too many competing interests and far too many competing ideas for any single group organization to try to control it. It'd be impossible. This is an everybody friendly stream. We're going to give this another couple minutes. I mean, Masons were friends with a lot of different people. I mean, there were a lot of magicians. Um, there is Harry Houdini, famously was a Freemason and a magician. There's actually a lodge in Los Angeles, which is made up of Masons who are also magicians. I don't have a job in Freemasons, but I have this as my job. Uh, I am a content creator. I'm working hard to turn my passion for Freemasonry into a profession. So please, I hope you take a few moments to hit the like button and the subscribe button and give a super chat to make this job a success. I'm growing slowly but surely every day, and that's what matters. we're going to give this another, let's say, 5 minutes, and then we'll start on the main topic. I have a couple points. But of course, my computer, I lost the Windows. So now I'm going to keep trying my best. I don't disagree. They should. They should have more lodges and should have private chefs. Lodges need to be so. I mean, no, that is not the case. Lodges do not need to be so influential that people fall to their feet. I would never want anybody to fall. I don't even have feet. I would never want anybody to fall at my feet or at my wheels, if you will. But Freemasonry does need to be more relevant. There is absolutely no doubt that the biggest problem within Freemasonry is that it's not relevant enough right now. And it's not relevant because we don't allow it to be relevant. No, there's no adrenochrome. It doesn't exist. That's a bunch of nonsense. That's a bunch of nonsense. QAnon baloney. My favorite nonfiction book. I mean, God in the Multiverse. I enjoy. It's right behind me. There's a great biography of Julius Caesar called Caesar, which I really like because I used to like Roman history quite a bit. Um, Maybe those would be up there. I mean, Sex, Drugs, and Cocoa Puffs by Chuck Klosterman. It's a collection of essays. It's actually really, really good as well. So that's up there. So I'd say those. Yeah, it's God and the Multiverse. It's by Victor. I got it right behind me here. It's by Victor Stagner. Stanger. Oops. Don't fall. Um, so it's not a religious book. It's not saying that, if I recall correctly, it's not saying that, you know, there is a God in the multiverse. Rather, it's saying that the multiverse may be an explanation for what we see. Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, Chuck Klosterman deserves a lot more love than he gets. He's a writer of pop culture. He just wrote a book about football, and I'm not a big sports fan. Um, but like I used to be, but I've kind of lost interest in it because I'm just so busy. But he's written a lot of really, really great stuff. Freemasons have a lot of different books. I have a ton of Masonic tattoos. This one here, um, I got all of these. So yeah, I got a bunch of Masonic tattoos. Freemasons don't have a book. Freemasons have many books, depending on where you're at and which jurisdiction you're in. But what I will say is, if you ever want to check out maybe the best book for non-Masons, learn about Freemasonry, is Freemasonry for Dummies by Chris Hodap. Um, Always have a good day. Same to you. Uh, Let's see if I can pull up what I wanted to talk about a second ago before my computer lost. Masquerading as light. Noodle. Whom be masquerading as light? I don't necessarily try to masquerade as light. I do try to provide information about Freemasonry, promote the ways it was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located. No, I think someone, Noodle, has read way too much baloney when it comes to Albert Pike and does not understand it. So let me see if I can find what I wanted to talk about. Well, hopefully I won't be masquerading as I enlighten you. Do you want to be enlightened about Albert Pike, or do you want to be enlightened about Freemasonry in general? What is it that you want to be enlightened about specifically? Because it's one of those things where Freemasonry is a very broad discussion and a very broad topic. There's a lot of different things within it to discuss, which is one of the things I love about it. Anybody wants to send me coffee, you're more than welcome to do so, and I hope that you will, because I do love coffee, but don't try to have coffee together with someone from the internet. Focus on having coffee with people around you in your life already. Internet is one of those things where yes, I consider everybody on my audience I'm grateful for. You're all my friends in some ways, but focus on the friendships in your own life, not the friendships online. I'm not a Scientologist. Freemasonry is not Scientology. Well, I think you're asking that, Noodle Naka, demonstrates a misunderstanding, because my suspicion is when you say who is your master, you're asking the question, you don't mean me personally, you mean Freemasons. You're saying who is the master of Freemasons. It's a misunderstanding. Freemasonry is not a religion and it is decentralized. There is no single Masonic master. I am not religious, so I don't believe in necessarily Jesus, God, Allah, or Satan. My supreme being is the rational nature of the universe as expressed through geometry. But there are Christian Freemasons and Jewish Freemasons and Muslim Freemasons and Hindu Freemasons and Sikh Freemasons and every type of Freemason in between. So there is no single master for Freemasons. Even in terms of our hierarchies and structures, there are, grand masters in Ontario, for example, but they are responsible for Freemasonry in Ontario. They have no authority outside of Ontario. Definitely a little bit hostile you came off as, but it can be hard to tell. I mean, I would say sacred geometry is the closest thing I have to an understanding of, a supreme being, but there is no single Masonic master. We had our first crop circle show up in UK today, a solar cross design. I'm sure some people had fun doing it. Once again, I don't think they're aliens. So we're done our first 60 minutes. The one thing I want to talk about was this article I discovered, phys.org, entitled No More. JW job is different. I think repass before the lodge makes sense, though. Tell your brethren I say hello, and I hope they're doing well, and I miss them. So this is from physics.org. No more giants, no more heavy hand axes. Why early humans downsized their stone tools. For more than 1 million years, early humans in the Levant region of the Eastern Mediterranean used a range of heavy tools, such as massive hand axes and stone balls, for important tasks, including processing animal carcasses. But then, approximately 200,000 years ago, heavy tools disappeared almost entirely from the fossil record, while the number of lighter stone tools increased. These included blades, flakes, and specialized scrapers. A new study published in the Journal of Quaternary Science Reviews has proposed an explanation for this change. Researchers at the Department of Archaeology in Tel Aviv University suggested around this time there was a significant drop in the number of megaherbivores weighing more than 1,000 kilograms, which may have first forced early humans to adopt a hunting strategy of going for smaller prey. The team made the link after cataloging archaeological finds from 47 known sites across the Levant throughout the Paleolithic period, which lasted roughly 3.3 million years ago to 12,000 years ago globally. When they cross-referenced dated stone tools with animal remains found at these locations, they noted a similar pattern as they explain in their paper. The disappearance of the heavy-duty technologies co-occurred with a significant drop in the relative abundance, NISP, number of identified specimens, distribution, and contribution to biomass of megaherbivores after the lower Paleolithic. This could be because, as larger animals became scarce, there would be no need for instruments to skin massive carcasses and break heavy bones. Instead, lighter tools such as sharp flakes and blades would be more appropriate for smaller game. We suggest that the Levantine early Paleolithic heavy-duty tools were involved first and foremost in animal processing and were linked to a substance centered around the exploitation of megaherbivores, while curated light stone toolkits emerge in response to a growing reliance on smaller prey. While conventional thinking holds that the change in tools was due to humans becoming smarter and deciding to hunt smaller prey, this research suggests a major driver may have been the disappearance of larger animals. The need for smaller tools was a response to the new environment. The study authors support their theory by examining research from other parts of the world, specifically China. For example, in parts of Asia, heavy tools were used for much longer, but this is perhaps because large prey remained available in these regions long after they disappeared from the Eastern Mediterranean. Why is this important? Why does this matter to Freemasonry? Freemasonry evolved from stonemasonry. Stonemasonry is the shaping of stone for the use and benefit of humanity. In some cases, we're shaping stone for buildings and structures. It could be structures to house us and shelter us. It could be shelters to store grain and store food. It could be shelters for religious or spiritual purposes. It could be shelters for civic engagement. It could be shelters for defense from enemies, human or animal, or defense from the natural occurrences like storms. It could be for all of the above. It could be for the shaping of stone to be used for the transmission of information and the advancement of knowledge, right? You take a stone tablet, you form a stone tablet, and then you use it to record information on. It could be the formation and development of stone, however, to create or for calendar purposes, right? Or it could be the development, like Stonehenge, the development and formation of stone into something useful in terms of stone tools to be used for hunting, to be used for, after you've done hunting and killed the animal, to butcher the animal carcass, to form the animal carcass, to use the animal carcass to scrape meat off the bones, to scrape items or to scrape down the hide to use for clothing. And the most important thing to keep in mind when we talk about this is, without a doubt, you cannot deny, and this is, this is without question, you cannot deny that stone has been incredibly important to human advancement and human civilization. Without a doubt, you could say that the story of Freemasonry is a story of humanity in that both recognize the necessity and the value of stone tools. In fact, it was stone and stone tools that kickstarted human evolution in many ways by allowing us to improve our diets, in fact, allowing our ancestors to improve our diets, to get greater amounts of protein, to get greater amounts of food, which allowed our brains to get bigger, allowed us to travel further, to spread out farther around the world, to store more energy. And a few million years later, you have less humans, right? Freemasonry connects to the ancient human use of stone tools primarily through symbolism, adopting the tools of operative stonemasons who worked with stone throughout history to teach moral and philosophical lesson. The working tools as symbolism is obviously there. Just want to get this note I had, 1 second. Right? The rough stone transformation. Paleolithic humans, Stone Age humans, transformed rough stones into specialized tools, hand axes, flakes, using hammerstones. Freemasonry, we always talk about the importance of stone symbolically, but literally, it was the creation of these stone tools, hand axes, flakes, to allow human beings to change from the rough ashlar of our hominid ancestors to the more perfect ashlars of Homo sapiens, of what we are now, right? Early human survival depended on these stone tools. It depended on chisels. It depended on mallets. These exact tools are used in modern Masonic rituals to teach moral lessons. And symbolism of stone. Stone is a symbol of durability, stability, and endurance, representing the lasting nature of Freemasonry's principles. These stone tools that were used by our ancestors 3.3 million years ago in Africa exist today. We can use them to study our ancestors, right? When we talk about, and I've said a million times, Freemasonry is the story of stone and water. Water, because it was on the naval vessels and boats that Freemasonry spread from England to the rest of the world, starting in port towns and then spreading inland. Stone, because it is stone that Freemasonry obviously considers to be of symbolic importance. It was stonemasonry from which from which Freemasonry evolved, but it was stone itself and the shaping of stone that allowed human beings to evolve. If you look at the Cook manuscript, 1450, it traces masonry back to the children of Lamech in Genesis, who were the first to work with stone and iron. This legend fits within the broader prehistoric context of humanity discovering technology, lithic technology, stone technology. Some modern Masonic research posits that the roots of the craft existed in prehistoric megalithic tribes who developed complex surveying and engineering skills to build monuments like Stonehenge. The shift from using natural rocks to creating specialized flaked stone tools made humans, Homo faber, man the maker, a concept that aligns with Masonic philosophy of designing and shaping one's life. The point is, we need to care about the stone masonry of not just Solomon's Temple, not just the pyramids, not just cathedrals in the Middle Ages, but the very first stone mason was the very first human ancestor who picked up one rock, bashed it with another rock, and created a flaked tool that allowed us to evolve into what we are today. And I think we as Freemasons should be more, not, in some ways, maybe more respectful of or dedicated to or in awe of not just the cathedrals, but the tiny stone flakes that allowed our human ancestors to get a better diet, to improve their protein intake, and to spread throughout the world and to develop from Australopithecus afarensis and Homo habilis into the humans you see today. And so I'm going to try to spend more time talking about Paleolithic stone tools, what they mean to us, and a reminder that as long as humans have existed, stone has existed. Stone tools have been a vital part of hominid and human development, both in terms of our ability to create permanent structures, store food, worship, transmit information, and evolve into what we are today. And if we are truly Freemasons, we would care about that, and we would focus on it, and we would support it. Maybe people will be talking about the nuclear age. I hope so. So that is not the case. Now, again, metaphorically, you could say that Freemasons evolved from the Crusades, but literally they did not. In the same way, metaphorically and symbolically, you can say that Freemasonry evolved from the very first stonemason to create a stone tool 3 million years ago, but literally, that's not the case, right? Um, Thank you, CD. This is my understanding too. Humans exterminated large eagle herbivores. I think they did as well. All right. Well, no Holocaust denial on this channel. The Iron Age came later. From a Freemason perspective, the Iron Age is not as cool as the Stone Age because the Stone Age brought us stone. The Iron Age, we're not iron workers, we're stone workers. Let the Iron Masons or the free iron workers celebrate the Iron Age. But it was obviously very important, in fairness. I gotta spray this with some WD-40. It's squeaking. So I've been trying to post some stuff, and you're gonna see me posting some more stuff pretty soon about stone tools and why I think they're so important to Freemasonry, and also some questions about stone tools. So be prepared for that. Be prepared for some of these quizzes that we're gonna get. All right, well, the math of the mustache was not so right, so let's not have any of that stuff either. Let's avoid Nazis on the stream, please. I do want to also mention a congratulations. I got to find it now. I just discovered a article, and again, I lost it. Congratulations to San Antonio Lodge Number 1, celebrating 150 years of Prince Hall Freemasonry. This is in San Antonio, Texas, I do believe. San Antonio, the predominantly black fraternity Prince Hall Freemasonry dates back to the founding of this country, and the organization's history in Texas started in San Antonio. We're the oldest civil rights organization in America, said Michael T. Anderson. Anderson is the 22nd Grand Master of the Prince Hall Masons in Texas. The fraternity has about 3,500 members across the state. Trying to do something for people who are less fortunate, Anderson said. We want to feed the hungry, clothe the naked. In 1775, abolitionist Prince Hall and 14 other black men were initiated as Masons, meaning black Freemasonry dates back about 250 years in the United States. They would not allow us to join, Anderson said, so we always had to break off and do our own thing. We never said we're a secret society. For generations, the organization's 1 million members have worked to improve communities all over. Anderson said they take good men and make them better. Burrell Palmer has been a Mason for 20 years. For San Antonio Lodge Number 1, 2026 marks their 150th year of service. To commemorate the milestone, the City of San Antonio's Office of Historic Prevention presented the lodge with a History Here marker. I thought it was so important to be able to be the first lodge of Prince Hall Masonry in the state of Texas. This opportunity should not be missed. Some Masons the public may recognize include Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall and civil rights activist Jesse Jackson. There's thousands of Masons that came through all these lodges in the last 150 years, and they did a lot of great things for the black race and the community at large here in San Antonio. So congratulations to San Antonio Lodge Number 1, Prince Hall Freemasonry in Texas. This article is dated today, April 14th, 2026. So we're going to give it a few more minutes. We're going to wait to see who joins. Please take a moment, hit like, and hit subscribe. And we're back to just hanging out, waiting to see who wants to join. I'll be back on 10 at 1 a.m. For some reason, my 1 a.m. streams always get way more viewers, which is really cool and really fun. And I'm grateful for that, but it's interesting. We're back to just hanging out, waiting to see who joins. So, MP Ring, why did you think that we were meant to be a secret society? Um, I know people say it all the time, but where did you hear that from? Maybe that's what it is, Hale. But again, according to YouTube, the majority of my audience are on stream in the evenings, and yet, or sorry, majority of my audience are on stream during the 1 p.m. to 5 p.m., and yet the majority of my views come at 1 a.m. It's very confusing. Must be what it is. What the opportunity if someone, like, every individual, um, every individual will get a different benefit from any Jews are welcome in the chat from joining Freemasonry. Some may make new friends, some may get more opportunities to learn more about themselves, tradition, history. You develop skills on things like conflict resolution, organizing a meeting, memorization. Ultimately, though, it's the opportunity to give of yourself to something bigger than yourself. So, and I think that's generally the best reason to join any group organization, to give something of yourself to something bigger than yourself. Just like Jews, people are welcome in Freemasonry. No anti-Semitism on this chat. It's humid-ish, that's for sure. I mean, it's both. I mean, people are, obviously what Freemasonry, the ethics of it, and one of the best teachings it has, though I don't like that term per se, but I'll use it anyways, is whether you're Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, Sikh, Christian, white, black, Indian, First Nations, who knows what, you're a human first. And you're a human first, and you're part of this thing called the human family. You're part of Spaceship Earth, right? Well, that is like the Cook manuscript. That is Mackey's book, but that's not literally true, Chris. That's just a figurative expression. In the same way, Freemasonry didn't literally evolve from stone tool makers in the Paleolithic, but figuratively and metaphorically it did, without a doubt. And whether Nimrod was a mason or not is questionable because he used clay bricks to build the Tower of Babel, not stone, to my knowledge. All right, Hooby. He's clearly human, so you're going on a timeout. I mean, yeah, Nimrod was, you could argue, the OG builder. I would say, because I'm not necessarily one who believes in the Bible per se, I would say the OG builder, there we go. Sorry about that, got it unfocused there. The OG builder was the very first human ancestor, Australopithecus afarensis, who I think it was Australopithecus, I could be mistaken, who bashed two stones together to create a flaked tool about 3.3 million years ago. Bob the Builder is free. I wish it was. We'd have more membership because that was very popular. Um, JIY, please hit that like and subscribe. And if you've not done so yet, I'm Scottish Rite. I am 18th degree Scottish Rite. But keep in mind, the highest degree within Freemasonry is the 3rd degree. People need to remember that. This obsession with Scottish Rite, I don't understand where it comes from or why it's there, but. And once again, I hit the thing. If you guys, by the way, do a $2 super chat, you'll hear your super chat through text-to-speech app. So please keep that in mind. Consider doing the text-to-speech app. I'm a Master Mason. I'm also a Worshipful Master. The Scottish Rite was birthed in Kilwinning, AM Sure Mother Lodge. I mean, the Scottish Rite was probably birthed in France, right, by Chevalier Andrew Raymond. Hold on just 1 second. I think it was, it might have even been in London, if I recall correctly, where it first started. I mean, you can trace it back to a speech by, again, Chevalier Andrew Raymond, if I recall correctly. I know he connected Freemasonry to the Crusades. Hold on just 1 sec. I think I'm getting this correct. France. Let me see. Let me get this right. Which Freemason first connected Freemasonry to the Crusades? Chevalier Andrew Raymond Ramsay, in a 1737 speech, often referred to as Ramsay's Oration, proposed that Crusader Masons revive the craft in the Holy Land under the patronage of Knights Hospital, later bringing these traditions back to Europe. Claimed the Crusader Knights sought to build a global spiritual fraternity and establish the first Freemason lodges upon their return to Europe, intended to give Freemasonry a more noble, ancient, and chivalric origin, diverging from the operative craft history maintained in England. I think that is kind of where Scottish Rite and York Rite first kind of started. But it started in France. Scottish Rite Freemasonry. Let me double check that. Originated in France around the 1750s. I would always say that when Chevalier Andrew Raymond first started talking about the connection between the Crusades and Freemasonry, that was kind of the unofficial start of it, because it started to connect Freemasonry back to significantly older time periods than before. Droll de Camp, I'm not a 33rd degree Mason. I'm not interested in being a 33rd degree Mason, but I'll tell you, they are granted no special powers or privileges in a Mother Lodge or in a Blue Lodge. That is awesome. Well, the first Masonic Lodge was, maybe in Scotland, was Kilwinning. The first Masonic Lodge ever would have been, I mean, let me double check. First Masonic Speculative Lodge. It was Mary's Chapel. Yeah, that's what I thought it was. It was Lodge of Edinburgh, Mary's Chapel, number 1 in Scotland. That is what I would always take it as. Now, I don't know if Mary's Chapel is in Kilwinning. Droll de Camp, I'm doing well. Good Guy Activism, thank you for being here. By the way, just to remind you, if you're interested, you can take a moment to hit the like button and the subscribe button and consider a super chat. $2, you hear your super chat right out, text to speech. I guess I am. I guess I am. That is right. The highest degree in Freemasonry is the third. The lodge has never gifted me a Rolex. The lodge has gifted me high blood pressure many times, but never a Rolex. Side quest is a good way to look at it, Sir Sentia, as someone who enjoys video games sometimes. Viewing it as a side quest is not a bad way to view it. Um, isn't it the 33rd? Nope, the highest degree of Freemasonry is the third degree. Goodbye, Chris. Thank you for being here. We're just keep hanging out. Wait to see who joins. No more specific topics. Just chillaxing, hanging out. I'll be back on at 1 a.m. as well. So you don't study to become a 33rd. It's an honorific invitational degree, but you have to study and, not even study, but you have to pass certain, tests, provings to get your first 3 degrees, entered apprentice, fellow craft master mason. And then you should be dedicating yourself to Freemasonry enough to deserve to get the additional degrees. Um, many do. I could be a 32nd or look to apply for it, but I'm not interested in advancing. I'm happy where I'm at. Um, right? I'm very, very happy where I'm at. It's self alchemy. Well, I think the process of being alive is self alchemy, right? Right? Freemasonry is a type of self alchemy. Um, where you join something, you use that thing to try to transform you into something better, hopefully. But you can do that with, playing team sports, exercise. All of that is an example of self alchemy, self transformation, trying to be better today than you were yesterday. Um, what even the benefit? So there is no singular benefit, right? That's one of the things you need to remember about Freemasonry. There is no singular benefit to it. Every Mason will find a different benefit. Some will feel closer to family. Some will develop new friendships. Some develop very practical skills, how to organize and run a meeting, you know, how to organize and run degrees. If you ever are in a job where you're required to organize and facilitate meetings between large groups of people that require order and rules, becoming a worship master of a lodge will give you those skills very much. So you should look into that. There's a million different types of these skills and abilities. There's not free snacks. You pay your dues, but the lodge should provide you with food and refreshment after meetings. Also, in some cases, if you find yourself falling on hard time, you can absolutely go to the lodge and ask for benevolence and ask for assistance and ask for help. Um, it's a social safety net. So yeah, there's also within Freemasonry health benefits. All the evidence shows the more people you know, the bigger your social circle, the better off you will be in terms of living longer and being more healthy, because isolation is incredibly harmful and incredibly dangerous for one's health and well-being. Some Masonic lodges have libraries, which I think they should. We're going to keep hanging out, wait to see who joins. It does not give you a lot of social influence or power. And if you're joining because you want social influence and power, you are going to be incredibly disappointed. That's not why you should be joining Freemasonry. It's not why you should be joining any organization, Masonic or otherwise. You should join for what you can contribute, not for what you can get from it. You need to keep that in mind. It's even for a job in some ways. Join for what you can give, not for what you can get. Peers, all right. Congratulations. I'm a Mason as well. Where you're from, which lodge, if you want to say. Thank you so much for being here, though. I really appreciate it. I hope, peers, you'll hit the like button and the subscribe button. Well, then you're being a bad person, Pastor, and you shouldn't do that. Even if you were a legitimate Mason, you shouldn't be expecting people to do what you tell them to because you're a Mason. That sounds from like something biblical. Why not? A giant. Was that Nimrod? May I ask, what do you have to give? Hopefully more today than yesterday, if I'm filling up my cup correctly. My presence is a huge deal, right? Never underestimate the value of your presence. I think we as Freemasons have a responsibility to try and develop ourselves in such a way as we have more to give. That's why I took psychological first aid training, as well as CPR training, as well as food preparation. So, if necessary, I can give brethren assistance if they need it, psychologically, physically. I can help junior wardens prepare food if they need it. I can have my presence and just being next to someone. Never underestimate the value of your presence. I can organize events. I can organize charity drives. I can organize civic engagement. I can bring different civic groups to the lodge. I can contribute to benevolence funds. There's a lot of different things I can contribute. Um, Being a Mason is not all about control. Maybe as much as possible, trying to control yourself and the better versions of yourself. Hello, Nick. Please hit like and subscribe if you could. I'd really appreciate it. Smart fella fart smell. I've never smelled any farts. David Kynaston, welcome. Thank you for being here. I hope you'll take a moment, hit that like button and the subscribe button. I would be truly grateful. There are no Masonic bloodlines. In fact, one of the major ideas, major points of Freemasonry is that it's not about bloodlines, right? As much as people like to think it is and say, oh, you're born into Freemasonry or whatever it might be, that's not how it goes, right? Freemasonry, you have to join of your own free will and accord. If you were a Freemason based on your bloodline, um, if you were based on your bloodline, then you would not be joining Freemasonry of your own free will and accord, and that would be anti to what Freemasonry stands for. Oh, I don't know what the Nephilim or the Giants. Isn't that the Giants? Everybody farts. Canadians, Americans, everybody. I've never heard of any royals claim to be descended from them. Um, I don't think Canada's doomed. I'm actually liberal myself now. I used to be conservative, but I have no idea. I think I mean, I think at least a majority government does provide some stability, right? Which is a benefit as opposed to constantly having this threat of elections um, hanging over our heads. I mean, they may believe to be. I've never heard that. Yes, anyone can join Freemasonry of any ethnicity. They should. It would be really weird to not tell your wife that you're a Freemason. Um, this not, it's one of those things where it'd be very strange and very weird to just be leaving the house every month or so and not telling anybody where you're going, including your wife. I think they'd have some questions for you pretty quickly, especially always leaving in a suit and tie. That'd be quite strange. Probably not, Pastor Sempa. Aleister Crowley was probably not a Mason. He was probably a clandestine Mason. There's very little evidence that he was part of any legitimate lodge or legitimate Masonic organization. Not really, Chris. Not as much as people think. Freemasonry borrowed from a lot of different philosophies, ideas, organizations, understandings. Certainly from Judaism, from Kabbalah, but also from Christianity, also from Egyptian mysticism, also from stone masonry, primarily architecture and architectural orders, a million other places. It's not one particular thing from which it borrows. You need to keep that in mind. I think Jimmy Page is a Mason. I think I heard that. I don't know for sure, but I think that is the case. We're going to keep hanging out a little bit longer. What is Thelema? I've heard that before. I'm trying to remember what it means. It's like some sort of a spirituality, right? Keep in mind, Freemasonry is not spiritual. Yeah, Western esoteric occult founded by Aleister Crowley. That's right. I mean, supposedly Aleister Crowley joined a Masonic lodge in Mexico that no one seems to have any records of or heard of, so it's probably clandestine. I think he also joined the Grand Orient, if I recall correctly. I am from Canada, born and raised in Windsor, currently live in Winnipeg. Sorry, got that mixed up. Born and raised in Winnipeg, currently live in Windsor, Ontario. Um, Canada, greatest country in the world. I heard of it. I've not watched it because I don't want to kind of boost the algorithm about it, but it is unfortunate that that happened because it ruins the bonds of brotherhood if non-Masons are able to see it, you know? Do what they will, it shall be the whole of the new law. I've never met any Inuit Freemasons, but they'd be welcome to join. There are some Masonic lodges in northern Canada, which is I suspect we would find Inuit Freemasons. Disagree with what, Pablo? Albania is the greatest. Fair enough, Pablo. If you are from Albania and you love your country, you should, or your nation. And if you think it's the greatest on earth, then so be it. I've said a million times, Freemasons should always be cheerleaders for our countries and where we live. So I think that's awesome. There is Freemasonry in Albania, I do believe, in fairness, so you should check it out. Pablo, you as well. I hope before you go, you'll hit the like button and subscribe button if you've not done so yet. And thank you for being here. I mean, I would love to just eat cheese and drink. I don't drink wine, drink Coke all day because I love pop or drink coffee. But we do a little bit more than just that. But that is something we do, certainly. Is I've actually had a few wine and cheese nights at the Masonic Lodge, which I really enjoyed. It's something different to try, right? If you're looking at getting people out, you need to try different things. Do a wine and cheese night. That's a really good thing to do. Do a wine and cheese tasting. Do a beer tasting. Do a soda pop tasting. All that stuff is really, really fun and really, really cool. Um, well, I don't think there's any resets. I don't know what that means. Yes, Freemasons are metaphorical builders, not literal builders. We hold knowledge related to Freemasonry, but it's not going to help society rebuild, except in a very ethical sense. That if there was a reset and we had to rebuild society, we would have an ethical basis on which to do so: tolerance, respect, kindness, helping other people, all of which is incredibly important. That would be weird. We're not matchmakers, Pastor Sempa. That's not our job, is to start running around matching people. Freemasonry is not a matchmaking service. So if you're joining Freemasonry for that reason, I promise you, you're going to be very disappointed. I think everybody should have equal rights in society, and to the extent if they don't, then they should be given enough rights to be equal to everybody else. Afternoon, MD Myth. How's it going? Thank you for being here. Actually, women's Freemasonry was very active, and men's Freemasonry as well, in supporting the women's suffrage movement to ensure women had the right to vote in England. Um, Chris, hello. Thank you for being here. I mean, I think women, again, should have the same rights as everybody else. I do think women are very often, unfortunately, experience oppression all around the world. And again, to its credit, it was Freemasonry, women's Freemasonry especially, that was involved in the women's suffrage movement. But there are many times when Freemasonry has been engaged with and involved with different oppressed groups and trying to support them. I just talked about Prince Hall Freemasonry celebrating 150 years in San Antonio, Texas, which has been doing some excellent work. So it was it was, as I mentioned before, it was Prince Hall Freemasonry that did a ton of civic rights work and civil rights work for black men in America. In fact, Martin Luther King Jr.'s headquarters was itself in a Prince Hall Masonic Lodge. And if I recall correctly, I could be getting this wrong, it was Martin Luther King's Jr.'s father and grandfather were both themselves Prince Hall Freemasons, and many members of Martin Luther King Jr.'s organization, his advisors, were themselves Freemasons. So, cool little note. They are, I mean, they're recognized. So I've sat in lodge with many Prince Hall Freemasons. I got a big nose. Yes, I sleep. Please hit like and subscribe. And consider a super chat. Just $2 super chat would help out big time. I have not had lunch yet. I am starving. I'm going to grab some lunch pretty soon. No, that's not, that would be a very strange way to have a job or earn a living. So, no, I'm not going to pay you, but you can pay me if you want, or if you don't want to, that's okay as well. And if not, hey, I still appreciate you being here. No worries, Chris. I hope the discussion made sense, and I hope you're doing well. But no, Prince Hall Masons are, in most jurisdictions, recognized in America. Not in every jurisdiction, but in most. Because trolling is terrible. Don't troll. It's a very bad thing to do. We're going to give it a bit more time and wait to see who joins. Once again, we're just going to hang out now, but be prepared for some posting on social media of some of the stuff I've been talking about. Some questions, some quizzes. In the meantime, though, please hit like, please hit subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you for the. Oh my gosh, that is fun. Who did that? Kaleidoscope glasses. Look at me. That was really fun. Thank you for that, Drill to Camp. That was really cool. Um, I appreciate it. Send me some more of those glasses, people. That'd be awesome. And let me know how you guys are doing. And if you want to hit that like button and that subscribe button, I would be very grateful. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, positive, negative, or neutral? I would love to hear it. I want to give it a bit more time, wait to see who joins. Oh, and I got a party hat as well. Thank you for that. Party hats are awesome. It's not even my birthday, I got a party hat. You're not wrong. We should have more vegetable soup. We should have more healthy food in general. Now, it's really hard to, require healthy food because healthy food takes time to produce. Oftentimes, it can be way more expensive. And so, unfortunately, it can be hard to have healthy food, but we should. We should have more healthy food as a general rule. Sorry, bud, you got to do your own live streams. Then you can ask people for a party hat. And I got a Sunday as well. Thank you for that. See, people love these gifts. It's a really cool idea by YouTube. That's not how it works. You don't make someone a Mason on site, and certainly not over YouTube. Not unless you're a Grand Master. I'm a 33rd degree Grand Master. I don't think you are. You don't sound like one, so I highly doubt that and highly question that. Am I an alien? I don't think I'm an alien. At least if I am, I'm a sleeper agent and have no recollection of being an alien. Pretty sure I'm just a human being and a Mason, trying my best to make the world a better place through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth. It collapses in on itself until it gets, if possible, until it gets, if it has enough mass at the start, when it starts to collapse in on itself, eventually it will become a black hole. Although it may not have enough mass, in which case I think it becomes a white dwarf, if I recall correctly. Well, animal spirit, if you think I'm a brainiac, then hit that like button, subscribe button in honor of being a brainiac. Ray05, if I got it right, hit like, subscribe, and let me know if you have any thoughts or questions on Freemasonry. I've said this before, but we as Freemasons should absolutely care about astronomy, science, the world around us. I think that's vital. So, I like to learn about those things. It is nice. I agree. Well, 33rd would could say they're a 33rd degree Mason without issue, but they wouldn't be running around on YouTube making people Masons on site. That's silly. And you don't have the authority to make a Mason on site as a 33rd degree Mason. That's not something a 33rd degree Mason can do anyways. That would be something a Grand Master could do if it's allowable under the Constitution. Moose meat. I don't have shoes. I have no legs, moose meat. Please hit the like button and subscribe button. Let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry. All right, you're being silly. We're going to keep hanging out, wait to see who joins. Please take a moment, hit that like button, subscribe button. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry? I started this channel to promote the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located. I mean, what is the point of view you have to share? Is it about Freemasonry? All right, well, let's hear about this timeline, Moose Meat. I got some poutine. Thank you, Droll de Camp, for the poutine. Was this here in 1491 before? What do you mean, was what here? Freemasonry? I mean, Masonry was here before 1491, like stonemasonry. Freemasonry started in 1717 or 1634 in St. Mary's Chapel. I'm not sure what you mean by that. And was it in 1492? Right? In 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. And there's also first contact before that, if I recall correctly, um, with the Vikings making it to Newfoundland. Well, America certainly existed. I mean, there's all sorts of archaeological evidence and historical evidence to indicate that the landmass of America existed, and the people. I believe, if I recall correctly, the first humans arrived in North America. I think there was some debate. I think initially the number was 12,000 years ago, but it's recently gone to, I think some are saying as old as 200,000 years humans have been in North America. I'm pretty sure it's not legal to keep a coyote, Bud Morgan. What you should do is ask your local counselor and your local bylaw enforcement if it's legal to keep a coyote. But my suspicion is it's not, but I have no idea. Um, Talk to animal control. I think, yeah, that the Vikings made it before Columbus into Newfoundland, if I recall correctly. I don't think they made it further inland than Newfoundland, but still, it's very impressive. We found a 23-year thousand old footbridge in Mexico. My language is. So you're First Nations? I mean, there's a lot of really cool history between Freemasonry and the First Nations, but yeah, I mean, I don't think we know exactly when humanity first arrived in North America and then made its way down to South America, but I'm comfortable saying maybe 200,000 years ago. Who knows? Um, right? We don't know for sure. After the 13,000 year flood, I do also really love different languages. I'm learning about languages. I've talked about how we as Freemasons should support different languages and communicate in different languages. Merriam, period. Well, I mean, the continent is older than Egypt, obviously. When people first arrived, they probably arrived before Egypt, at least before the pyramids were erected. I think that's almost certain. Well, you are welcome, Moose Meat. If you like my point of view, support the channel by liking, subscribing, joining me on social media, following me on social media, all that good jazz. Helps out big time. Sharing the stream. I'm trying to get to 4,000 subs. We're kind of stuck right now around the 3,800 mark, but we're about 167 away. So let's see if we can get there soon. It's one subscriber at a time, one moment at a time, right? That's how you do it. Well, I mean, I don't think there's a pattern in the way I think you mean it. I mean, there's only so many ways to build a pyramid. There's only so many shapes that make sense for structures if you're trying to build them with limited technology and you want them to be around for a long time. So I don't find it shocking we have pyramids showing up in multiple different locations of multiple different cultures, separated by oceans and time and whatever else it might be. Because, of course, like if you're trying to build a structure that will last for a long time in a simple design, a pyramid makes a lot of sense. Um, but I think one of the mistakes we've made in Freemasonry is when we talk about stonemasonry and how much we love it, we tend not to focus as much on our stonemason brethren from the Americas, from the New World, and those stone structures. So that might be true. That would make sense to me because there are so many different cultures, and different cultures will oftentimes develop different languages. So that wouldn't shock me. I can't say that's true. I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised. You can only have this many languages with time and distance. I mean, I don't know how long it takes to develop a language. You are welcome. I mean, the history of stone tools in North America is another example of stonemasonry that I think we as Freemasons should care about. So, we're going to wait for a little bit longer, then I'm going to end this stream. I'll be back on tonight at 1 a.m. So you can find me then. But thank you all for being here. I hope you guys are having a great day. I know it's late, but you can find me at 1 a.m. as well. So thank you for that. Still hoping to get to my 4,000 subs sooner rather than later. All right, guys, thank you all so much for being here. It's been a blast. I will talk to everybody soon. All right, peace out. See you guys. Oh, well then, Bud Morgan, you need to mail me some of these peach cobblers. I would really appreciate it. All right, talk to you guys later.